Hello and welcome to Feedback for the week of October 13th, better known as Epictober.
Bum, bum, bum.
I mean, everyone, okay, let's introduce everyone. Kevin Kelly, Morgan Webb, Abby Happy, thank you for being here on this so-special occasion, an Epictober.
Momentous
Feedback. Everyone keeps on saying, like, hey, but if it's only an Epictober, but it's only happening for a week, the content's still on the site.
Because it was so much harder to come up with a name that only applied to a week. That's why.
We really like the name Epictober.
Epic 32nd week of the year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Have the ring to it.
Yeah, it's you know, and actually I've been asked why epic, and I said because we like Virgil and Homer and Cervantes
That's true.
and Beowulf.
Odyssey
You know, we're
Timber.
big on the we're big on the epics here.
Literature.
Yeah.
We read.
Ulysses Timber.
It's
Odyssey
nothing to do with
Timber.
Epic April.
No.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. News. You know what? Sometimes we like to navel gaze here, and that's what we're going to do because what we think is very newsworthy is Epictober.
Yes.
We have a lot of stuff.
So today we have Fallout New Vegas, and it's a look at the White Glove Society mission. Apparently it's really, really, really,
It
really
is.
evil.
It is.
So evil.
Morgan, you were there,
I was there.
and
It's
you saw
evil.
Obsidian. It is. I mean,
What's the most evil thing that you do?
I don't want to give too much away, but I mean the basis of the mission is cannibalism, and no
It's
matter
a big theme in video games this year, I think.
and no matter what happens, someone kind of doesn't really make it.
Look,
so,
someone gets eaten.
Yeah.
I think that like what some people pointed out is that Obsidian's made up of a lot of guys from Fallout 1 and 2, and the tone of this mission sounds very consistent, especially with Fallout 2, which really just got kind of nasty. I don't want to say mean-spirited, but really went down that very, very dark road.
So now it's Red Dead, Dead Rising 2, and Fallout New Vegas that all have cannibalism references, and probably a couple other games in there that I'm missing, but it just seems like a nice trend for video games for this year.
Well, 'cause,
By nice trend, I mean kind of weird.
We're not shockable anymore, so
No.
now they're trying to
Yeah.
do that. It's
Just-
like in the movies when they decided to have male nudity, and everyone was like shocked for a minute, and now no one's shocked anymore.
Remember
so-
Gran Turismo 2? It's like, ooh, look at that solar flare. Now we're like, solar flare. I need to
whatever.
see people being eaten. Then I'm excited.
But what's the next frontier? Now what are we going to move
I don't know.
on
We're
to?
getting into some like Takashi Miike territory or something. Like it's
Yeah.
going to get really dark.
Something out of Japan will come and
Yeah.
shock us all.
and shock
Yeah.
us for
As
about a
usual.
minute. Yeah.
Oh, we
Ichi
also
the Killer, the game.
Yeah, I know. Oh God.
Oh, God, I won't play that.
No,
But it's
maybe
actually
not.
cool because we do get a good look at the mission and you kind of talk through like different consequences to it. So if people are interested in checking out Fallout New Vegas, it'd be kind of a good it'd be a good thing for them to look at to kind of get an idea of the factions that are going to be around and who you're going to interact with, and you also get a really nice look at the casinos. And this is like the nice casino, so you can see the things that they've created.
Not the other ones that they let us in. The nice
This is the
casino.
well, no, but this one, like, it's really hard to get into this one. Like, they don't just let anybody in.
All right,
It's
fair.
like,
Only-
it's like
only
that one in
fancy
Monte
people.
Carlo, and
Yeah.
this is in reality, not Fallout, where like you have to present yourself with an American Express black card or else you don't make it to the floor. And I was told it's because
I will never
there's
see that casino.
There are so many Americans that want to go in there and order a James Bond martini,
Right.
And it's like, no, these are rich Frenchy Monaco types, and they're like, get out of here, you stanky American.
Love when
That's
you do
my voice for
accents.
this episode.
Yeah.
He has a new one each episode.
All right, what else do we have that makes us excited?
An article on the future of shooters, and what to look forward to, why you'd want them. A brand new episode of Bob and Steve,
Yay!
which is our.
Quite popular.
I love Bob and Steve. It's machinima set in the world of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Conviction.
I'd like to point out that the man primarily responsible for Bob and Steve is the man shooting the back of my head right now.
Yes.
So a
That-
round of
that one.
applause
That
for
guy.
Paul Bonanno.
Paul Bonanno.
And tomorrow we've got.
I see that's yes.
Oh, what?
I think it's already up on the site right now. The Call of Duty Black Ops.
Right, because
was
I
Monday.
don't
Because
understand time.
we don't tape in the past and air in the future, do we?
No,
No.
never.
We've time traveled. to be here
Don't
now.
ruin the magic of the internet.
Okay.
Okay. So also you'll see some stuff from Call of Duty Black Ops. It's 2 exclusive videos, one new multiplayer video and one new single player video.
Which takes place in Kowloon, which we learned is not in Vietnam.
We
No.
did some research.
Boy, who was wrong about
and
that?
It's in
Yeah. What a
China,
jerk.
and
Well, Kevin thought it was in Russia, and I'm like, I've never seen
doesn't
double
sound
O's
Russian
in
I
at all.
thought it was in
Russia.
Vietnam. I didn't think it was in Russia. I think
I think
Neil
Paul-
thought it was
yeah.
in. Nice work, Neil.
wow, way to just blame everything on Neil.
There's going to be people in Kowloon listening to this very upset that we don't know
yeah,
where
I'm
they are.
sure.
Well,
we
one
learned.
guy being like,
You know what?
bastards.
I think
I'm
all
coming
of us
over.
right now have just justified that waiting for Superman movie. with
Look,
our
if we're in
understanding
True.
of
if we're in the
international
world as
geography.
Carmen San Diego was still a popular video game franchise, we would all know this.
If they had a
Because she would've
snappy
gone to
song
Kowloon.
about Kowloon, we would
Where
all
is
get it.
she?
Now?
I don't. I mean, why could no one?
Because
We'll
she
talk.
traveled around stealing things from. That's why they had to find her.
Oh,
she was
really?
she was a bad
And
person.
leaving
Oh, I was
clues
thinking
like
of
the
Dora the
flag is
Explorer. I'm
blue
like, why
and
is this
green.
Yes.
tiny Latina
No.
Very
girl?
bad.
She's suing Nickelodeon or whoever airs that show. Carmen Sandiego. Fantastic. I wish I missed it when it came with like the big Encarta.
Oh, yeah, it
book
comes with the
that was like
giant-
this giant,
Yes.
and then you got Microsoft Encarta with it, so it was just the disc.
It was a
Yeah.
great game,
Yeah.
and the TV show was great. The
Yeah.
theme song was fantastic.
I don't think you got
What was the
disc
name
in,
of
like,
the
first
Rockapella?
version.
Rockapella.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It sounds like it's like the fugitive from the other people's perspective.
It's the fugitive for little kids, basically. No,
I
no
played
death
that
or
game into
destruction.
adulthood. Shut up.
She's playing it now.
Anyway, you can also see an article about the future of action adventure games. See, there's a theme for each day. Has and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. We have new footage from that.
And you went up there, didn't you,
I
Morgan?
did go up
to
there.
Ubisoft Montreal.
Beautiful
Yeah,
Montreal.
beautiful Montreal.
How was it? Tell us.
It
Tell
was
us
pretty
things.
exciting. I mean, I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan, so it was, pretty cool for me. I'm kind of excited for multiplayer. My jury's out. Like, I'm a little sort of cautiously optimistic, we should say. And it's probably going to depend on how other players actually end up playing the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I played a bunch at E3, and it was a matter of really just looking for who's doing a movement that you shouldn't otherwise be able to do.
Yeah,
They deserve it.
the beta went
Yeah.
up, and we're watching people play. It's like, don't climb on the building.
That's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Now, to that point, because this is also Montreal's where they also made Splinter Cell Conviction, I would like to believe that Ubisoft Montreal is filled with the most nimble people on the planet, and like they don't like use the stairs; they're just taking the
They're
outside of the
parkouring
building
everywhere.
to get to the next
So when it's
floor.
way too cold outside to do that, so they're
That's
not
true.
actually doing it. 2,000 people work in that building.
2,000 people.
2,000 people work at Ubisoft Montreal. They have a giant building. It's like 5 stories, and it's cool. It has a very open floor plan. So instead of having like cubicles, there's like a little separation between the desks, but it feels like a very communal office space.
Wow, 2,000 people.
Yeah.
A lot.
That's like 4 times 500 people.
Rain Man
math
Award.
is our.
We're good at
Wait,
math.
so they showed off the Alliance mode, which is co-op multiplayer.
Right. And we actually, we did sort of look a lot about the single player and about the location. So when we were there, we did a lot of more general stuff. But yeah, so they were looking at the co-op mode so that, one person could be climbing a building, like, trying to pull aggro or whatever. And then the other, your buddy's like stabbing you in the back of the neck. So.
Nice.
Like all of my buddies. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, no,
stab
your
me in the neck again.
your buddy's trying to stab the enemy in the neck, or whatever. So
bingo.
like one person's trying to make a commotion, and while the other person's trying to draw the guy out, and so it takes strategy.
No. And I think you're right. I think the life of the multiplayer is going to depend upon people who will understand not to play it like traditional multiplayer go around
Right.
one for themselves.
Like, we'll see if people get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Just like people seem to get what the plot of Assassin's Creed is all about. So, what's happening on Wednesday, which is actually today?
Today,
Today is Wednesday.
Tron Evolution. We're going to take a look at light tanks.
And also we're going to see, because I was talking to the guys with that, also some of the general gameplay. Wow, this game has gone through some graphical passes since we saw it at E3. There's a shiny on the floor. Yeah.
There's a shiny on the floor.
I now would like to live in a computer because it's like really, really clean floors that you don't have to varnish yourself.
And then you open up your computer and you realize it's just really dusty in there.
Yes. It's filled with sadness.
The idea of Adam trying to crawl into his office computer is going to stick with me for the rest of the day. Then we take an in-depth look at fighting games. And we have some surprises from Disney Epic Mickey. There is a brand new level. You get to check out Tomorrow City.
Which is, this is the, I also did the interview with Warren on this.
Yes.
What's neat, and I think it comes across in the stuff we have on the site, and we were watching some stuff. I don't think I fully appreciated that you can, not saying this is what you should do, you can just remove an entire level with the paint thinner in this game. That it really does have this dynamic way of just whatever you want to do, and like it will affect sort of the outcome of the game. But we saw some stuff, including like speed runs that were just kind of to get to a certain point of the game that really kind of highlighted how malleable this world is. And it's not just, like a lot of those games where you have special skills, but you have to stand on the pad and only in that specific region
Right,
can
yeah.
you enact it. No, that really isn't the case here. It's the entire world.
Weren't you saying yesterday that you were seeing things that are probably going to make adults cry when they experience this game?
He was saying that, for those that love Mickey.
Oh, Mickey My Tie? This is awesome. Sign me up.
I don't want to give away too much, but that they definitely. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that they worked with the Disney animators who kind of maintained that legacy of how Mickey is supposed to move, all that kind of proper elasticity, and that does convey a certain level of it gives it some emotional power. So I'll leave it
You
at that.
cried like a baby.
We need a good game to cry at. I haven't cried at a game since Shadow of the Colossus, I think, probably. Is it revealing that I cried in that?
No, but that's not that long. I mean, that's not terribly long
It
ago.
feels
right?
like a long time ago, though. I don't cry at Madden.
It kind of was. I was different back then.
I had a heart.
I have to say, I may have shed a tear when I'm like, can I swear?
Yes.
When that shot my dog. I was like, "Ah!"
It really, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I am coming for you.
For
It is
those that
over.
don't know, this isn't real life. This is Fable 2.
Oh, yeah, video
Speaking
game.
speaking of Fable, that Fable 3 is lined up for Thursday.
Yes, look at that. Thank you for the segue, Morgan.
You're
There we go.
welcome.
Yes, we're going to take
Nice.
just kind of a look. You know, there really hasn't been too much out there video from the game except for some of the like the opening intro. Looking good, and there's a whole new continent called
Yes.
Aurora.
And you went there. That's why you've been gone and not on feedback.
Yes, I was out in the,
He was
in
in
the
Aurora.
wonderful small town. I was in Agora Hills. Me, Kelsey Grammer, a bottle, and no memories. No, it was actually just I was in Guildford, England, a wonderful, charming small town, which have very slow Sundays.
Yeah.
And not the ice cream variety. I mean, just Sundays goes. Like, it was me and Matt Kyle, who's always on the show, just kind of killing time going, what does that beer taste like? Oh, it tastes like beer.
Yes.
So, what else we have for Thursday?
Looking at the future of RPGs and also the MMO report that has 2 exclusives from Rift Plains of Talara and the nuclear detonation at the End of Nations.
I guess that would end most nations.
Yes, that really kind of sums it
Yeah.
up, doesn't
It's a
it?
nation ender.
I mean, maybe it's also a beginning in its own right.
Isn't that the beginning of End of Nations? I don't know. That
It's in it. I don't know if it's at the end of
I
it.
like this
but
game
yes,
though. You know,
it
at
would-
End of Nations, you're all playing together, trying to bring down this one giant multi-conglomerate government. So you're all teaming up. You're not playing against each other. You're playing all of you are playing against that big bad government. I like it. You don't fight against each other. Fight
I
against
like that.
that big nameless.
It'd be kind of nice if that's how life was. Yeah. But no.
It is.
No. And then for Friday, Little Big Planet 2. Again, part of the reason
Yay.
you were in England.
Yeah. Also, they're in Guildford. Lionhead just kind of fed out to a whole bunch of different Criterion's another one because Need for Speed is on Friday as well. But I was
Yes.
going to say, Little Big Planet 2, wow. It's just, this is a dynamic engine in a tool set that they're giving people. JP Shub of the band Thunderdick works on X-Play. Very excited to make his music video inside of Little Big Planet
nice.
2. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying that
gonna be
openly because now he has to do it.
Yay!
He
Just
spent
like you were
90
supposed to
hours
dance to
doing-
Just Dance.
Ooh. By the way, our own Jake Gaskill has been in Little Big Planet for the last couple of days looking for the best
original.
levels. The original.
Yeah.
We're going to highlight them on Friday, talk about the best, like our favorites.
Yeah.
But even now, it's amazing to go in. That game's been out for a long time. To go in and see some of these levels that people have created, they're just incredible.
Now, there are some people out there that are already in the beta. These are kind of the special, really strong community members. And wow, they're doing some stuff already. And this game isn't even done yet. So,
great.
Yeah.
much
That's
hope.
awesome.
And we're going to also talk about the future of strategy games and have a clip from Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Yep, which is also, I think that game is going to be very refreshing when you look at kind of the types of games that are coming out at the end of the year. Here's a racing game that's fun and it has a way of you playing with your friends. It's very ingenious, and I'm blanking on the name of what the mode is called. It's auto something because
Where you're the cop, the 3 cops and 3
well, it's
criminals.
also you play with
the
your
auto-
friends.
the auto log
You don't have
feature.
to play at the same time. You're letting your friends know how you're performing, and that kind of sets a bar for your friends to try to beat. It's not you against the world; it's you against people you actually want to brag
Yeah.
against or with.
It's auto log.
Right, because you're not going to win
Auto
against
log,
the
thank you.
world.
Yeah, because
You're not going to win. I mean, you're not.
because there's those 10 guys that
Yeah.
really make up the world, and they're going to beat you.
And then you look at your score and you're like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
But you're like, but maybe I could beat somebody that I know.
And it's also it's set up with an understanding of adults and time management. That
Right.
I can't get everyone together at the same time, but
Yeah.
hey, we still have a way of communicating and kind of, all right, I'm going to try to beat your time over there. Very, very clever. Obviously, those are the guys at Criterion,
Yep.
also in Guildford, England.
Yes.
Well, and Gears, to do a transition, we can talk about Gears 3.
Absolutely.
yeah.
You were just,
But Gears has something actually that they're trying to do something a little bit similar to that, in which there's certain like medals and ribbons and that kind of thing. But it'll say, "Hey, you just got a medal for having maybe 50 headshots with a sniper." But then it might also pop in and then it says, "Abby has 63."
Yeah, a lot of games are doing that.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
even
it's great.
like the new Guitar Hero has a lot of
Yeah.
stuff like that, where it's saying like, "Oh, this person got this, challenge," and And I've been playing a lot of Rock Band 3. It has a similar just so you know, this person did way better at this than you did. Like, I love that. It's really fun.
What if Criterion pulled that over? Burnout Paradise was really good about that.
Yes.
You get live updates when your friends just beat your record.
Right.
And you're like,
See, what
jump
they've
live
done
into
is they've taken that and decided to
Transplanted
really expand it into something more robust.
It's great. I love when games do it. It's really fun.
And then it
pushes you. It pushes you to do better, and
Totally.
it pushes you to play more, which is, I guess, the whole point of doing it anyway.
I guess I'm just using a
Sounds-
sniper
you-
rifle for
the
the
way
next
you
4
describe
hours.
it,
Yeah.
it sounds like my mom when I was like, no, you must do piano and be a swimmer. It's like pushing you to do. No, I don't want to. I want to stay home. People scare me. Okay, I'm regressing.
You could have been a swimming
Morgan, you were
pianist.
in
That'd be
North Carolina.
Yes.
The Raleigh-Durham area, otherwise
The
known as
Raleigh.
the Research Triangle. Yes.
Nice.
Technically, they're in Cary.
Is that where researchers go
Harry.
to die?
They're in Cary, yes.
Yes, that's
The
where they
Bermuda
disappear.
Triangle for
That's
researchers.
just where they vanish and you never see them.
Last week, we were here talking about how Gears of War was pushed from a spring release date of next year to the end of the year. We were
Right.
speculating. You might actually have something else. Did you get any insight onto that? Into that?
It's strategic. As I'm sure you guys were speculating.
Yeah.
The game is on schedule to be done. It's on schedule to be released in April. So the way that they're going to use that extra time is that they're actually going to do a beta, which I know people are very excited about. Now, before everyone gets their panties in a bunch, you guys at home, relax, take a deep breath. They haven't actually figured out how they're going to decide who gets in the beta. Maybe they'll do something where if you had bought, Gears 2 new, or if you bought, you know what I mean? They have no actual idea yet. So, but they just know that they're going to do one.
Well, that's good.
Good.
Yes.
I love betas.
I mean, look, multiplayer has always benefited when betas are released, and there's some time to kind of take some learning from that.
Right. But they also were saying that they know that it's not like a PC beta where people expect bugs. Like you're in the Cataclysm beta, for example. Like there's bugs and stuff doesn't work right, and you click on a guy and he doesn't have any text, and you do the bug report. They know that basically like a console demo is a console beta is like a demo more than a beta. So
Yeah.
they're really going to polish it up and make it a presentable final product, and then use the extra time to like tweak, do weapons and that kind of thing. And do
Polish.
Yes, we're talking about like
Lots
just
of
Cliff
polish.
there with a rag, just going, this thing is-
balancing and that kind of thing, and being like, oh, it's weird that nobody uses that gun and blah, blah, blah. So
Also, dedicated servers. I guess I've never considered dedicated servers on a console.
well, this is something that people are either going to be excited about or be like, I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
dedicated server.
But Gears fans have complained that there's been like host advantage and there's been lag issues and that kind of thing. So some people are very excited about the dedicated server. So basically they're going to have a bunch of boxes all over the world. They're going to be running the games. And so if the host leaves, the other good thing is the host leaves, has to go to the bathroom or whatever. The game still continues and they just...
that's good.
Yeah.
Host
You
doesn't
play
leave and-
multiplayer
Yeah,
games
didn't
and you
get
hear
that
the words host
switch.
advantage so many times.
And now nobody can
Especially
complain
in
about
Gears. In Gears with the shotgun roll, it was terrible.
Oh my God! That one used to kill us. Whoever was on top of the leaderboard was like host advantage. Screw this.
Yep.
But they've also been rolling out. They've been testing out these servers on Gears 2, so people might have already been playing on
that's
these
interesting.
dedicated servers without actually knowing it, because they've been trying to like, slip it in there and see. So
That's why they've been enticing us in with all those quadruple XP weekends
Yeah.
or 100
So-
times XP.
So if someone says host advantage, they might have been playing on a dedicated server. They might have just been whining.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, I guess Gears. Thank you for going out there, Morgan. I know it's a challenge to hang out with nice people in the friendly state of North Carolina.
Everybody is very friendly there.
Yes, they are actually.
They are very friendly.
They're really friendly in
It
North
sounded
Carolina.
sarcastic, but I really meant it. Everyone's very
Jeez,
nice.
if you keep talking
Yeah,
that way, your
everyone
voice
is
is going to
so
get stuck
friendly.
like that.
Especially all those Duke students coming around hugging you. No, it doesn't happen.
That didn't happen to me.
Our third news story, Abby. It's a game that might not be surprising, but the developer is.
Yes, announced out of New York Comic Con, it is a new X-Men game, X-Men Destiny, and the developer is Silicon Knights.
Dun 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 dun. Dennis Dyack.
Yes.
Too human. A man
Yes.
who has probably said a few more things than he should have said.
Period.
Sentence structure. Note to self. Learn it. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Activision has this Marvel license, and they've been doing
Yeah.
stuff with it, but Silicon Knights. Interesting.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
I mean, now the style of game I think falls into the X-Men Ultimate Alliance type. Those games. Marvel
You're
Ultimate
choosing
Alliance.
from one of, I guess, right now 3 mutants, and you can kind of choose your own destiny. I haven't obviously played the game or seen much of it. I wasn't at New York Comic Con, but it is. I'm just surprised, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I keep wondering, like, will it play like Too Human? Will it?
It's nice to see something a little different, and something a little like
But
Too
that
Human
type
could be
of game-
awesome.
But that type of game, the type of game that Too Human was, can be moved over. Now, here's
Yeah.
the thing, is that the technology with Too Human is kind of a point of legal dispute right now.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's, I'm curious, where this is going to go and what the engine is.
it'll be
Yeah,
a-
they announced the game and then kind of waited to actually announce who the developer was until there was
I
a
think it
panel
was just
at New York Comic Con.
like you just saw if you're watching the trailer, and then it was just like Silicon Knights.
And when's it coming out?
Next year, fall.
All right. That sounds good. Looks like there was some other stuff that was also announced. Okay, one thing that made me very
Yeah,
happy.
I know this is your happy one. Let me guess. Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yes. There's a character in it. I was happy to see him. Arthur.
Arthur.
Hey! Arthur from Ghouls and Goblins. Ghosts and Goblins. Ghouls and Ghosts. Friends and
The most
foes.
underwear
and
clad
enemies.
fighter ever. He's in his underwear.
I mean, I just want to know what his special's like. Yeah, hopefully it does involve his underwear. And it's
Like the
just-
atomic wedgie.
Yeah. See,
But that would be something that somebody would have to do to him.
I think the thing is, granted, there was that Ghosts and Goblins game that was on the PSP, but I would like to think that there's Arthur's been attached also to the Mega Man Universe game. That maybe there'll be a return of one of my favorite
You
franchises
just
ever.
want to know if it's coming back, don't you?
I just want, yeah. I mean, Maxima its heart was in the right place, but just let's go back to the proper franchise as it should be.
Do you really think that they're going to let a franchise that people have heard of go away? I mean, they're making an Asteroids movie. Like, people don't let franchises die.
Very bizarre.
We'll see it. We'll see it eventually.
Monopoly's making a
Every time
movie.
somebody-
Are you trying to
This
process
Asteroids
Asteroids movie?
Okay, I saw Armageddon. That was like one of the worst things ever. It's
But did
like-
you see Deep Impact, the other worst thing ever?
No.
We've had our asteroid movie. Yeah.
That's when they were coming out in like twos.
I guess
and those were
because
the-
Deep Impact kind of said, "Oh, it does hit Earth." I'm like, "Well, there's no surprise there."
Yeah.
I was so tense, wondering, "Oh no, will Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck get to have cookies together again?" Oh, Steve Buscemi's gone a little crazy. Oh God, that movie's so bad. Also,
pretty
Boardwalk
terrible.
Empire. I'm not responding to this.
No?
Around home, I'm calling it Boring Empire. I'm just throwing
Well,
that
why
out
are you
there.
still watching it?
Inertia.
Yeah, you keep
You know what?
thinking it's
Glee
going
has
to get
really
better.
fallen off too,
keep on
so
thinking
there.
it's- yeah. All right. Well, there we go with news. Thank you so much, Abby. Hold on. We're back to Abby now to talk about our game of the
Yay.
week. Medal of Honor. This
Yep.
is. How long has it been since a Medal of Honor game? I guess Airborne was the last one.
Yeah, so not terribly long.
Quite a
And that was not, I would say, the most remarkable game. I mean, it's been a while since we've had a strong Medal of Honor game. They've ditched World War II. They put it
Modern,
in Afghanistan.
yes.
What do you think?
There's moments too when I was playing this at my desk where people would walk by and go like, "Oh, is it Black Ops?" I'm like, "No, it's not Black Ops," but there are a few seconds in it where, and more than that, I think, where you look at it and go, "Wow, I've seen this," but it's good. I mean, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, it is really good, and the sense of location that the game has, and I think the story that it's telling is really strong. It is a little short.
Now, you are a very, very skilled player, but how long did you get through it in your...
I think my first run at it was probably 4.5 hours, and that's including cutscenes. And then my second run, closer to 4 because I knew what to do. And then I went back and I played it on hard, and that was about the same amount of time.
Yeah, but
One
I mean,
can't say you're
Modern
not
Warfare
thorough.
2 wasn't any longer
No,
than that.
and it wasn't particularly long. But I did spend a lot of time in Modern Warfare 2 playing the Spec Ops missions, which sort of added a little bit of like the co-op and single player experience back into the game. Whereas like there isn't really something. There's a tier 1 mode, which is there's sort of extra, but it's not a long game.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is cutscene and just in-game cinematics. It's short.
It is a conundrum, the single player, but we'll get to the multiplayer in a second. That there's
Sure.
there's a lot that I like about that single
Yeah.
player. Those guns feel good.
Yeah.
And it has a shotgun that needs to be in all games, even games that don't have weapons in
It
them.
melts
Need a
people.
shotgun.
The
It's
shotgun has
probably
a range
closest,
on
like-
it too.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, oh.
You can headshot someone
from
from
far
like
away.
yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's just these odd elements. There's invisible walls, the way you progress through the
The
game.
AI trapped me in doorways. The AI prevented me from continuing on in areas, and sometimes in really just strange
Yeah.
ways. Even when I was trying to play along to exactly because they really want you to listen to the dialogue and listen to your squad and take direction from them. But even sometimes when I was doing that, I was having them sort of prevent me from moving further. Like the one that I wrote about in the review, because it happened to me a couple times. There's a gun, you have to throw C4 on it, blow it up, and then you have to go regroup with your squad. But you have, the detonation in your hand and you go to meet them. And if you detonate it right away, you're fine. If you get to the safe area, which is, I assume they buddy boost you up and detonate it there, they would just freeze and stop. And I was just sort of blocked in. And I started shooting them and throwing grenades at them to try to get them to move, because that's what you do.
It's
And
frustrating.
it didn't work, though.
That's very
and it
typical.
was still telling me that the objective had been completed. It was putting the objective back on my guy. Like, it was just very, very strange. And I ran into a few situations like that. And, and then I also, I had a run where that didn't happen, probably because I knew and I was anticipating it. So I didn't, let it. But
the doors are the worst. Like, there's a door
Yeah.
that opens.
Yeah.
You go up to it, you cannot
You
do
can't get-
anything.
it's very
Finally,
linear.
when your guy gets the
We should have
heel
put that
open,
on our cons. The doors are the worst.
they are the band as well. No, but you cannot open them, and it's so frustrating. And then when they finally do open it, there are times when you can run way ahead of your squad, and
Yeah,
they'll say
sure.
like, get back here, and that's great when a squad is talking to me like they should be in the real world.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And
and you will
all
get
of that
mowed
works
down
well.
if you go off without that.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah, I loved all of that, and frankly, I really like the characters. I Dusty, who's the guy that you
Dusty.
see on all of
The
the
giant beard.
billboards and everything. He's great. Like, I like them. I thought that they were well developed in the short amount of time that they actually had to do that, and and the story was interesting. I wish that it's kind of one big objective that you're trying to accomplish
Yeah.
in the thing, and then it sort of turns into a rescue mission. And I almost wish that there had been another one. Like, if there had been two of those, I probably would have not
But it's so
complained.
unbalanced. Like, you have these great missions where you're in the helicopter is really awesome, but then when you're on those ATVs, I'm like, oh, this just feels like it's a load screen basically, because you're just
Actually, and that was my one. I was wondering about the doors in this game, and if perhaps once again, I don't know exactly what the tech is behind this, but
if that's setting up a load.
if it's doing this very kind of slow streaming, keeping you in one area before you can proceed.
It's possible.
Definitely in that
It
one
is-
where
it
they
is.
have to call on the radio first before they open the door.
I mean, it is typically you don't see some of the oddities that are in this game this generation.
Yeah.
It's
It's got some really weird stuff, but I mean, none of them really detracted a tremendous amount from my experience. Like,
Yeah,
it
that's
did
the
in the
thing.
ones
The
where I
good
had
is
to
good for
restart.
me. Yeah.
Restart checkpoints. It's annoying, but it didn't set me back very far. It was just kind of like, that's I didn't expect it, because just looking at the game in general, I mean, it looks pretty good. I think that the particle effects of the light and the sun and the snow and the sand
haze
and
you
the
mentioned,
haze
yeah.
and everything is
That
just
was good.
fantastic.
and the lions and the tigers
and the bears. Oh my! All of that stuff looks absolutely, fantastic. But I just those little I had enemies that would get stuck in the AI, or stuck in the AI, get stuck in the geometry. I had AI that would sort of skate through or appear out of nowhere. Like, even my friendly AI would let people get behind us, and I'd turn around and all three of them would be plugging away at one guy who's standing behind me. And I'm like, why can none of you hit him? And then I would die because he would shoot me in the back of the head. Some sort of frustrating stuff like that, but in general, it's really good.
There are some great story moments that I wish
Yeah.
more games would hit on. Like, there's a sort of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid at the end of the movie moment in this game that you're just like, oh my god, we're not going to make it out.
Yeah,
And you really start to feel for these guys, and they're calling out to you,
Kevin,
and it's a great moment.
it does.
Butch Cass.
What? I didn't finish the movie.
It does a great.
That,
No, I'm-
that freeze frame was to hint at something.
Yeah, a sequel, right? The sequel picks up right at that
No.
moment.
Actually, no, there was a prequel to it.
Yeah, I did
I
see
believe
it.
directed by Sam Peckinpah, but not very much.
No,
like a Sam
not at
Peckinpah
all
movie.
like the
It's
original.
crazy. I don't mean to notice it. It just does such a great job of, as you said, putting you on the offensive and defensive, but also just shifting that perspective of the battlefield. Like, when you're finishing a sniping mission here, and then, or if you're kind of holding out, and then the helicopters come in,
Yeah.
and the next one you're in the helicopters, and then it's just got these really nice sort of transitions to different,
And
parts
for
of the game.
all of the paper rattling about the Taliban,
Yeah,
the
it's
Taliban
not-
is in the game. I mean, they're just not in the multiplayer.
Right. Well,
Right.
I mean, and they are. They're just called the OPFOR, which is
Right.
basically the same thing that Modern Warfare does. But the game itself, the single player, I didn't find to be particularly controversial, unless
No.
I
you
don't think
are
there
a
was much
government official in
I don't think
Washington
there
who
was much
approves of the war.
concern.
Exactly.
It was merely that you had, as David said, the option. I don't think you really had the option. It depended on which side you were going to be on to play as the Taliban. With that, let's get to multiplayer.
Sure.
It's DICE. They do Battlefield.
Yes.
You do play your multiplayer. How does
It
this?
feels a lot like Battlefield,
Funny
honestly. I surprise. I had a chance to play, obviously, before the review was done, and I probably got a good 5 or so hours in, but it's not the way that I like to test my multiplayer, because I like it when lots of people are online and you get to see how people exploit it. I did play last night, and there were 2 nights ago. Seriously, we taped this real time, and it's before it comes out, so maybe 1,500 people online, and I ran into some of the same problems that I had seen before with the spawn killing and the choke points, and it being very difficult sometimes if your team isn't cooperating or playing like a team to actually complete some of the and win the objectives. But I love the objective-based, strategy to it. Like, that is really fun for me. I like playing as a team. I like doing the the combat mission mode is probably my favorite, and it actually looked like it was the most popular too when I was playing last night. It's just like basically like Rush, you're moving up and taking points, and there's like 5, and you just keep moving through and securing them.
Okay, let's move to where I think there was a new brewing controversy about this. Okay, I only know if there might be a controversy if NPR tells me. So,
Right.
So I'm driving home from Beverly Hills yesterday, and I have the NPR on, and no, it wasn't Nina Totenberg. I just like saying that name.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Nina Totenberg.
And not Fresh Air, I hope, either.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't Terry Gross.
Fresh air.
Oh, that's what gets me every time.
But they are saying that does the game trivialize the existing conflict that the game is being put in? And I want to move away from like, oh, look, they included the Taliban, or they took the Taliban out. But this is, I think it's interesting that I on outside of some really crappy games right around 9/11 that came out, I don't have much of a memory of anyone making a game out of something that is very much still happening now in terms of war and stuff like that. And I personally don't think it trivializes it, especially after playing it. It seems to there is a sense of grounded realism, not the Michael Bay extremities of Call of Duty.
Right.
But yeah, Morgan, I mean, have you mulled this one over?
Yeah, and I actually heard that NPR story. This, like, as long as it's treated with a little bit of weight, then I think that it should be fine, and people are exploring the conflict on their own terms, and people are going to see in the game what they already think in a lot of ways. So I think that it's going to be a reflection of what people think versus, like, telling people what to think about it.
I mean, the game has a definite opinion. I mean, like, it's very clear that they're... I would say they make a big deal out of, how they actually talk to Spec Ops people in creating the game. And I think you do see it in the opinion of it. And the opinion is like, Washington, the people who are on the ground here and the people who are involved in this conflict know how bad it is, know how it needs to be handled, know how dangerous it is. And we have a bunch of telling us, to do things when we don't think it's right.
But I see how it does trivialize sort of the common soldier. You have to be part of this badass unit to
Well, you
advance.
do play as an army
That was the question
ranger.
I was going to have. If you were just a kind of a private, a much lower ranking soldier, and they did this game, I do wonder if that would be a little bit less savory. There is, Spec Ops kind of exists in a fantasy world in our imagination. We're not there with them. You tend not to see camera crews following these guys around. It does sort of exist in the popular imagination. And that I wonder if that's what makes this game palatable, is it does sort of play in that space rather than the very, very kind of grim reality that I think most of the soldiers out there are having to face.
And I mean, they show a tiny bit of that. It's not a large part of the game. There's a part, you play as an army ranger, and they do show everybody, all the troops landing in, and then it all going to hell.
Yeah, that's a pretty good scene, actually. There are multiple friendlies on the field at once, and you're under attack. It's a good scene.
Also, did you guys know about something called Tier 1 before this game? Because I didn't.
Just from the billboards around town. This is Tier 1.
The way it was presented, everyone kept on kind of selling the game to me as if I was supposed to know this, and I'm like, I kind of keep up on these things, but this is going right over my head.
Yeah, I think it's sort of they're using it sort of interchangeably with SEALs and Special Operations, and basically the same deal. I mean, there are Navy SEALs in the game.
I got that out there. Do you think all these like Spec Op divisions have like mixers so they get to know each other, like the SEALs meet the Rangers?
It has to be secret.
The other, I think, to the point that you just made about the experience of the actual Army Ranger, I thought about this a lot towards the end of the game, and I don't, not really that much to spoil, but they do send in Army Rangers later in the game as well, and you're trying to rescue 4 maybe, and I would say probably more than that are killed in the attempt, and it's sort of like, where do you place the value on how many lives it takes to save the other lives, or who? I mean, I don't know. It was just it was sort of unsettling. I mean, you know that you can't they didn't know anybody would, was going to die going into the mission. You don't know, how it's going to go, but like it definitely, there was definitely a kind of weird feel about that. Like I we're trying to save somebody, but it just, killed half of us.
Yeah,
So,
no,
I don't know.
Like I said, it seems to have a lot more weight, as you say, Kevin, than or Morgan.
But
than,
but
you
but
would
that was
expect.
my opinion giving it weight. The game actually doesn't really give weight to that. Like and just as I said, I mean it's a one-sided argument in the game. It's not a discussion.
Yeah.
They don't write the the political character at all like you're meant to do anything but absolutely despise him. So
All right, now you give it a 4 out of 5.
yeah.
I mean, there are many things to like about the game.
Yeah,
there just
it's-
are some very clear
It's
problems
good.
with
It's
it.
solid. Exactly. I mean, there's problems, but at the same time, I think comparatively, you look at this and you realize that there's something that they're doing that is way better than an average kind of military
And I think
shooter.
many of the Medal of Honors that have preceded it, for quite some time.
Sure,
And
yeah.
For me, that shotgun's worth the admission.
You all-
I
you-
love that shotgun.
Yeah, it's like the
It's-
combat shotgun in Left 4 Dead too that just
Yeah.
melts
It's just-
people.
it's just
I love
like-
it. It's so good.
And Gears has a really great new shotgun too, and it just liquefies people.
Yeah,
Shotguns are awesome.
You know what?
Except the
Maybe this is the
reload
new
time
trend.
is like
Shotguns that do incredible things.
killer.
Shotguns are the new cannibalism. That's what it is. All
You've
devs
heard it
out
here
there.
first, everybody.
Shotguns. the
Setting
new
trends in
cannibalism.
the video game industry.
All right, so we're going to have our special Epictober question of the week.
Dun,
It's
dun,
from Fabinla. Fabinla?
I think it's FB in
FB
LA.
in LA?
Yeah, that's my guess.
Then I think that
Fabinla.
like Stalker in Ruse and all those other games, I want the dots.
You want to know if it
Because
stands for something?
if you don't have the dots, it becomes phonetic.
But I don't think they ever told us what Ruse stood for.
Oh, no,
Even now, did they?
Really unusual, sneaky
Experience.
experience.
stand for. I think they told us what it stood for, but I obviously
I was trying to find it when I
Don't
wrote the
remember.
review, and I could not. I'm gonna have to go back and look because
I can't remember what Stalker
they were like, "Oh
stood
yes,
for.
it means something, of course." But now I'm like, I don't know.
So anyway, Fabinla, whatever.
Fabinla.
The average age of a House member, and this I assume is federal, is now 56, and for a senator, 61 years. That I did not know that. It does not surprise me, but it is interesting to read that there.
Or you could have just made it up.
And the Nintendo...
We didn't fact check it.
The
Sorry.
Nintendo Entertainment System is 25 years old. Will computer games ever get the support and understanding from Congress until a majority of them grew up playing a Nintendo or something similar? If so, do we have a rocky road for the next 10 to 15 years? I don't know about the rocky road, but they do make a point.
Well, and right now we have, I think, the first president who has had a video game system in the White House.
Yeah, I think you're
Obama
right.
bought the Wii, and I don't know if
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Bush had
Yeah.
anything or if Clinton had anything.
Bush might have had a Wii.
I don't think he had a Wii. Can you really
Well,
see
he was
President Bush?
he was spending so much time trying to get through that Tom Wolfe novel that he may not have ever had a moment to actually play Wii Sports. But on the state level, in somewhat contradictory, Rick Perry, governor of Texas, has actually, there's quite a big subsidization for game development within the state of Texas. There's a little in California. There's a few other states. On the state level, there seems to be interest in understanding that there is, it's just, they want to bring that business in.
They need the money.
Yeah.
They need the money.
California's talking about legalizing marijuana basically because we need the
Everything
money.
will
Yeah,
happen once
exactly.
we need the money bad enough.
Well,
right?
I think it's a terrible idea and drugs are bad, but there's money. We could get money for it.
It's legal. I mean, we're going to make it legal. What?
Yeah. For most of us, and I don't want to have to say what their age is, we're kind of born during one of the lower birth periods. And that, this whole idea that we're trying to wait for people to kind of get into positions of power that have a better understanding about stuff like video games and other aspects of our lives. I mean, I don't know what the federal government can really do for video games, but them not understanding it can't help.
Yeah.
Wait, because they haven't actually ever played it, and you come up on someone's shoulder, and you're machine gunning, you're chainsawing some guy in the face or liquefying him with a shotgun, and you're like, "That's horrible!" And you can't convince them, like, "No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's a game. It doesn't mean anything."
To the age thing, though, I mean, 56 and 61. I mean, my dad is and my mom are 60, and I grew up playing video games, and they certainly know what a lot of them are through me. My dad used to play Game Boy like every single day, and my mother just used to sit behind me and go, "Half-Life," more like No Life or Half a Life. So, I mean, at least they have some sort of understanding of it, whether it's positive or negative. I mean, I find it hard to believe that most people who are 56 to 61 don't have kids that at least introduce them in some level
but it's
to
still
it.
peripheral. Then
Yeah.
they're not like a core gamer. That
Sure.
was-
No, but I mean, I've
Which is
played
good.
video games with both of them.
which is what?
Which is good, since they're in Congress. I'd kind of like them to legislate.
Yeah, they should probably do their jobs.
But there have been those reports of you find out a certain congressman has played like 256 hours of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
What there were like stories about. So we know there's some gamers on Capitol Hill.
It's quite possible that quite a few of these senators and House members who are just letting their their aides write all the bills and stuff like that. Like,
Right.
I'm just gonna level up my warlock.
I got to get in
20.
Farmville and
Oh God, no.
I mean, I think the other thing is that there's always this temptation to want to look at what the politician says on camera to be reflective of who they actually are.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it here: wide stance. That tends somehow to not always be the case, and that I think it's going to be a while before ideological benefits of like taking a stance against games, kind of give way to actually just not really caring. At the same time, Grand Theft Auto 4 came out with very little fanfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't much controversy.
Yeah.
And I think that, we wouldn't have seen much controversy this year if it wasn't for the Taliban. That's a whole different type of controversy
Yeah.
than, oh no, games are going to corrupt the
I
minds
think
of our
people
youth.
sometimes just are looking for a story.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like, oh,
CNN?
we can grab onto this, and it'll kind of burn out.
It's like, oh no, Rick Sanchez, stop being anti-Semitic. We got to come up with something else. Oh, hold on.
But has the furor
Fox
over like
News, quick, find a parent who's lost children in the war and put it up
make a
against,
story about it? Has the furor
one of
over
us.
banned books and films ever equaled what it seemes to be for video games?
I
right
would
now?
say yes, and especially comic books, because there were hearings
That was a
in
big thing.
Congress about
Yeah.
comic books, and I think it was only around Columbine did we had the video game hearings.
Yeah.
And that was just, once again, there was this kind of trauma that happened, and everyone went running into the direction of video games to find blame.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the internet might be making the furor seem more furious.
That's
Right.
true.
And the
just-
24-hour news cycle and everything.
Yeah.
There's just more time to fill, so they're going to talk about it.
Yeah,
Oh my
because
God,
they're
I
losing
know.
their ratings
Yeah.
to people playing video games.
It's way more exciting.
Yeah. Oh wow. Imagine if there was a CNN game.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
called Desperate Programming.
It would be the same thing every half an hour of gameplay,
Yeah.
though.
I just love their manufactured
Just slightly
outrage. They're constantly
changed.
outraged about something.
Who's the one bitch, Nancy Grace?
Oh, I hate
God,
her
she
so
is a
much.
horrible person. Good Lord.
And her hairdresser.
and her
Someone
stylist.
needs to
Just
have
awful.
a word with
Dear
whoever that
Lord.
is.
Oh my God.
But
Because,
what's
I mean,
scary
her-
though is then you read more about she's not necessarily a good person. Why give her a show?
Oh, no.
Oh my
She's
God,
awful.
bury her.
I think this is exactly why she pisses off people like
You know what, Abby?
But I don't
All
watch
of us.
her. I see clips on the
You're
internet that
peripherally
somebody
pissed
else
off.
gets a click for, and I watch clips of her on like The Soup or something or Daily Show. I'm not watching her show because she's crazy and she scares me.
I change the channel as fast as I possibly can. Oh God!
As someone married to a lawyer, there's an even second level of outrage for having people in the alleged profession that she's engaged in. All right, well, that was an odd left turn that we just took.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Very
I got to
question of
call
the week.
Nancy Grace a bitch. Today was terrific. I'm so happy.
Thank you, Fabla, for the question. But that is it. That is your Epitober feedback. That's the name of the show, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's called
I
feedback.
can read it right there on the side.
It's been a long week,
Bam.
everybody.
And it's
Of
going to
course,
continue to be a long year.
Please check out all the incredible content that we have up on the site. And once you check it out, tell a friend that if they don't check it out. And then it just grows and it grows and it mushrooms. And that's why we love the internet. And that's why David Fincher's movie's #1 in the box office. I don't understand. Anyway, we'll be back here next week talking about even more games. Enjoy the rest of Epictober.
Dun dun dun.
Do you play World of Warcraft or one of its 1,000 clones? Do you know what a mob or pug is? Then you'll want to make sure to check out the MMO Report. It gives you all the massively multiplayer online news you can want in a neat little package named Casey Schreiner. Check out all new episodes every Thursday over at g4tv.com/MMO. You're welcome.